we can continue and finish up on time for lunch. There's one more important feature I'd like to show you guys, and that's assessments. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on creating the assessment other than showing you the options that are there. I want you guys to get into an assessment so you have a better idea of what type of assessment options there are. Okay? And then we're going to finish in about 25 minutes for lunch at 12. So let's talk assessments. Under materials, there's two types of assessments. This first type is a test and a quiz. Don't ever use this because it's going to eventually go away. Is that explanation needed? No? Okay. We're going to go to add assessment. So let's go to, if you want to follow along, you can go to one of your courses or the resources, add assessment. Go ahead and give it a title. We can give it a due date. Remember, we want to have a due date or else it's not going to go to Infinite Campus. Points. Submissions I can turn on and turn off. Let's say I have period 2 comes in at a certain time, so I can disable and enable when I want to. I have some options here to enable and disable. Enable until a certain date. Enable between a date range.
Is that date and time?
So if I go enable until the date, I can specify, type in a number, and the time will populate. Password. I gave you guys a password. You're like, I can't get into the assessment you assigned me. Oh. So I'll tell you what the assessment password is. By default, it's disabled. You can enable it if you'd like. What category does it go into? Grading scale is the same. Factor, leave that again, if you want to have the factor, you can adjust it there. We want to sync it to Infinite Campus. Depending upon the type of assignment or assessment it is, whatever rubric or scale you're going to use, is probably just keep it on whatever your scale was. Again, if you want to differentiate, you can assign different assessments to different students if you have groups set up in your course. Again, if this is a work in progress and you're not ready to show this, you can unpublish it in draft form, come back later and then publish it if you'd like. Yes?
On the password thing, is it if you put a password in, they can't access it until you give them the password?
Correct. You guys will see that next when I ask you to take an assessment. Of course, they can share passwords, so I would probably use the lock and the disable enable more than password, right? I don't know. It's up to you though. Okay. So then we would click create. I'm not going to create this one, but hypothetically, that's what we do. When we do click, I have to do this here. It'll ask you, I'm not going to go through this. You guys can spend time just creating assessments. It's basically going to give you a setup. What type of questions do you want? Look at all the different types of questions Schoology has. You guys are going to experience about 13 of these when I ask you to take the sample assessment, so I'm not going to go through them now. You can spend your time figuring that out. Matt will go over the grading. We can check the live progress. When you guys start taking the test, I can see who's in progress and who has started. There may be a couple glitches. Yesterday there was a couple people who the screen didn't load for them because they had pop-up blocker on. So if it's not loading for you, you may have to disable pop-up blockers for that specific page site, okay? Because then you can't get back into it. And then I have to do something on the teacher end to do that.
And then also, as an aside, if you are someone that's used like ExamView an awful lot, you could export quizzes that you've made via Blackboard and then import it into the test feature here too.
And we're also working on the connectivity with Illuminate. We're not exactly sure what that looks like on the back end, but there'll be some work done with how does Illuminate integrate with Schoology as well for Illuminate users. You can preview it. What the heck is this test going to look like? Eyeball it just like a Google form. Click the eyeball to see the preview of it. Actions. Copy it to another course. I can print it, save it to resources when you're all finished. Okay. Can I clarify anything, guys, on the options presented here for you? Okay.
Can you lock the screen?
You can lock the screen with GoGuardian.
Okay, but you can't lock it.
No, so there is no secure browser. There's really no moderating functionality in Schoology. You either set it and they go take it. So the recommendation for us is use GoGuardian to mitigate cheating. Yeah. Okay, so what I'd like you guys to do now is, you'll notice on the right side there's something called example assessment. I'd like you guys to take this assessment now, and there's about 13 to 14 items that you're going to be able to experience as a student. So let's go ahead and take the assessment. Maybe about 10 minutes worth of time here to go through everything. Now, the password is, what do you think it is? You guys can guess it. Oh, yeah. What's our Schoology? Yeah.
Lowercase, uppercase, whatever.
Oh, God, dang it. I know. Lowercase Schoology, you're right. Thank you very much. So go back into our Schoology class. Yes, on the right side, you'll see your assessment.
Oh my gosh, got more math.
We have the option of letting students know if they got it right.
So there's auto grading, yes, and there's feedback when you grade it, how much you want them to have
Have
feedback.
more numbers came out of there than like.
We're gonna have a list of what assignments are what assessment questions are auto graded and which ones are not. So we'll talk about that later.
I don't know.
No, this is the way it is. Yeah. Yeah, you would have to monitor their behavior from GoGuardian, but yeah. I mean,